All right, here we are. I've been a long time putting this off until I get proper proof. Like Carl Sagan says, extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof, and I've been a long time trying to obtain extraordinary proof. Well, here's a little bit of what I have discovered. Um, this here is a very small sample. I have tens of thousands of specimens. These are just a few that are going to be easy to explain what I'm talking about. We'll get into the others later, but as of right now, this specimen right here, this is a head, skull. It looks similar to today's goat. You know, this is similar. It's almost the same exact thing. There's the eye right there. There's the nose right there. There's the mouth right there. And, you know, this top of the skull here is torn away. The horns, a shockwave had come through. Something killed all these things died from the same thing, a shockwave. Shockwave comes through from the back right-hand side of this animal and ripped its horns off. When it tore the horns off the animal, from this side right here, it exposed the brain. On top of the brain, you can see here the Abdullah oblongata. That's the stem, and it folded up over the top. The brain had filled full of debris, which was in the wave. And you can see that the wave hit the side and tore the hide off and actually burned the animal on that one side and flattened him a little bit from the impact of the wave. Now, you will notice that the debris which was deposited in the brain, the ooze coming out of the brain, running down the face, after the wave passed, it turned to stone so fast that the debris didn't even drip off the face. It was turned to stone almost instantly after the wave had passed. All that debris, those stones and the debris stuck in there, that's all hardened, and they looked like they were ready to fall, and all of a sudden they just turned to stone. This is incredible. Like I said, incredible claims, incredible proof. There's the brain, the Abdullah oblongata on the top, folded up over from the backside, filled full of debris. The horns, which are on this animal, was ripped off because you can see they were fastened to the skull, or part of the skull actually, and they were torn off, and with it they took the skull cap and exposed in the brain. And there's what it left behind was this skull here. Of course, it ripped everything to shreds. Heads, these are just mostly skulls, but I got all other parts of animals here also. There's other stuff. I mean, there's this, you know, ancient crocodile. There's some kind of scavenger bird put to a primate. Looks like a skull to a primate. There's water people skulls. There's one there on the left. That's a skull that was a water breather. You can see the gills and the vent around the back of his head, and it vents up out of the top brain. The water flowed through that section right there, and the water had flowed through that section right there and up out and vented there and vented there. And that's his mouth there, but that's where they sucked in the water. His eye was there, and it went around the brain and exited out. That was another one there, same thing. And this one here, I don't know if this one was air breather or water breather, but this was a reptilian head. You can see there's an eye on that side. This side got flattened from the impact, but still you can see the eye. Reptilian skin must be more resilient because it still stayed intact. You can see all the reptilian skin, the scales and whatnot left on it, and the eyes, nose, the mouth. You can see the mouth down there. That skull there, that one must have been closer to the impact. That there is just singed so bad, but the brain is stuffed inside. You can see inside the brain's exposed. The eye and a couple teeth are left on that one. This here is a disembodied brain. That right there is a brain which got ripped out of some skull but hardened to stone and has debris all embedded in it. This thing here, this is another one of those water breathing. Here, there's the eye there. You can see the eye is still in place. If you look real close, you can see the pupil and vent out the back of the head. And it goes on. This here is looks like a pterodactyl, a flying bird of some sort. It's a flying reptile. You can see it's got reptilian skin. And I'll show you later more to it. We'll go over it, the eye and where it fastened on. Of course, that's that ancient crocodile right there. Here's another reptilian up close, one of the water breathers. There's his eye right there, and there's his nose, and his mouth sucks in. There's his mouth right down here, and there's the vent, the water vented out of the top right there. And it goes on and on. Primate foot, like I said, you can see the toe goes off to the side, not straight like ours is. This one here is a scavenger bird. You can see how the beak curls around. There's another scavenger bird right there. See how the beak turns around? And there's a bunch of little skulls and stuff. There's an extremely large finger. It's cut into pieces. That's like a humanoid finger, primate finger. And this goes on and on. These are just a very few of the samples that I have that, you know, there's another water person that you can see that he has. I don't know if you can see it that clear or not, but This thing has gills underneath its chin, and he breathes into its mouth, or it can also probably breathe into the gills. Like these doesn't ain't quite the same. You can see its head, it's got the eyes and nose and mouth, and these are hardened to the stone, these gills underneath. And this primate head here, you can see that there's two eyes and nose, and he, of course, he got hit pretty hard too from the other side and this side, but it peeled off some of his face and peeled it up over the top, exposing his teeth, and you still see his eyes. That we're not going to get into until I decide to. And that there is just a reptilian, like a lizard head behind this. You can see. I'll show you later. I'm going to show you everything later when I go to describe and show you. That right there is a dinosaur egg. You can still see the embryo inside. You can see the bones and the joint right there, and you can see vertebrae right there, little vertebrae. So inside the egg, which was broken apart, you can see the embryo and you can see vertebra still inside the egg. We're going to go over these one at a time, like I did this goat. We're going to take the pterodactyl. We'll look at this guy. Now, see, this thing here is the flying reptile, you know, of old. This is what they used to say flew around the place. It looks like it's broken. It's not. I'll go over. I'll show you right there. It looks like it's broke right there. I'll go over and tell you why that's not broke. You see the eye right there is the eye, and it's a flying reptilian. You can see the skin, still reptile. Well, this here, that is not a break. What that is where the thing would fly and the mouth would open up. See that both sides of that? Both sides of the head would open up, and that part right there would fold out. And it would be like a giant catcher's mitt as it was flying through the air to probably catch insects, you know, big masses of insects at one time or something. I don't really know what it was for, but it did. I figured it out how it unfolded. I looked at it, and I figured out that the two sides there fold out. This one folds that way, this one folds that way, and this front here folds out this way. And what it does, it opens right up like a giant catcher's mitt. And it will fly. You can see how it will open up right there from the front, and it would fly into probably a swarm of insects or something to catch many of them. And there it is. That's a pterodactyl head. Well, I don't know called pterodactyl. This is Precambrian. The science says there's nothing before Precambrian. There was the Precambrian, Cambrian explosion, and then there was the whole Cretaceous, and then there was us. And this here was found. This stuff was all together about 30 feet underground. That I discovered, and it was pre-Precambrian. So I haven't seen any of this stuff on any science literature whatsoever. Some of these things look familiar, but a lot of it doesn't, and it was before the Precambrian, because before I got to this, I ran into the Cambrian explosion. I found a lot of the stuff that the scientists were talking about, and then down below that, about 10 more feet is where I found this stuff. And there's just so much more stuff. I'm going to show you why I think later. I'm not going to go into it right now. And anything I voice is going to be something that I have figured out, and it's not a theory. This is going to be what I have come to the conclusion on. I have many theories of what did it, but I will not voice my theories. I only voice what I think I know. And so knowing what we know, I'm going to go through one specimen at a time. And I have tens of thousands of specimens. These are just a small portion of just a very few that I thought would be easy to explain. And some of the other ones, we'll get into more complicated explanations later. But right now, we're going to get into, see a face on that reptilian. Imagine walking around. It was an upright creature, too. It was not, you could see the head, the position of the spinal cord was underneath the head. This thing walked upright. Could you imagine being a time when this reptilian thing walked upright? And that one there, that was an underwater. You can see it was a breather, water breather. There's the mouth, there's the eye, and you can see the chamber behind its head that goes up around to aerate the skull, the brain inside the skull. And you can see the vents out the back side of the head for the water to flow back out and through the top of the head. To take it in through the mouth, and below the mouth is another little slit. And then it would go around and aerate all of the brain and the blood, and then exit out the top. That breathes just like the fish do today, more or less. It just took the oxygen out of the water. And that one there is the same way. You can see that that's got eyeballs on the front. It was a little harder to see, but you can see it. It's got pretty well damaged. That one got destroyed. That's that disembodied brain. We'll go over that later. And there's quite a few more of those water-breathing things. There's one there. This one here, too. This is, you can see the eyes still into place. You can see the teeth underneath. And there's the head, and then down underneath the teeth, there's gills. This one here was the next one here I was going to go over. This one here, I'm going to put it down so we can look at it better. This one here, the eye is still in place. The teeth, you can see the teeth there down under the eye. the upper jaw and the lower jaw. Right here in place, the upper jaw, lower jaw, and then right here is all the gills that it breathes through. And it would go up around and vent through the top of the head. This one here is a nice specimen because you can see where this side got destroyed by that blast I'm talking about. Now this is where the mouth is right there, and then this is the slit where the prison air. They both combine together, and then the air would go through here, and then you'd hold it through. It would go up through and aerate the brain. The water would go up through, aerate the brain, and vent out right there and out of the top right there. So that's a really good specimen to see how it functions when they breathe the water in. You know, that's looks like some kind of a snake head there, skull. I got so many skulls. It's so hard to choose which ones to put in place. It's just incredible how many things there is. I'm going to come back. We're going to pause.